Good evening and welcome. Today is Wednesday, March the 16th, 2022, and this is the City of Anderson Board of Architectural Review. First item on the agenda. Addenda?
No addenda tonight.
Very good. We'll move right into the public hearing, first being BAR 2203. Maurice.
Thank you. This request is for 313 East Hampton Street. And on the map, you can see outlined in red. This is in the Anderson Historic District, and Anderson Historic District encompasses this area. And just to let you know, the southeastern corner of the Anderson Historic District is right here. So this property is barely within the boundaries of the Anderson Historic District. Property across the street is the old McDuffie High School, the old Career Center. It's a it changes names from time to time, but that's the building located right across the street. And the applicant in this situation is seeking approval to add new replacement windows, enclose windows on the back side of the house, paint the property, add a door, and they're currently undergoing extensive renovations, interior and exterior. As you can see, this is the house that was in poor condition when they acquired it, so they are now working on the house extensively. The house is painted white, and they will repaint it white, so that is something we can approve administratively. We just wanted to bring that to your attention tonight, that it is going to be taking place. But, of course, review and approval is necessary for the alterations to the windows. The windows will be 1/1 vinyl replacement windows. That's what they're requesting. As you can see, when they acquired the house, everything's boarded up. There are a bunch of windows. They were all boarded up. So it was in a situation where it was exposed to the elements and was insecure. The applicant did install one window on the front side of the house prior to approval. However, it's actually good to show you, give you an example of kind of what the applicant is requesting all around the house. And the windows are stock windows. They don't fit precisely to these windows. They're not custom. According to the applicant, it would be months before they could get something to fit this, but he will be working to make sure that they are fitting that properly and the window trim is preserved and things of that nature. So there's also a door that was installed prior to approval, but you can see that in the picture as well. The house, again, was very insecure, and the applicants had theft issues as he's been working on the house. So it's been a difficult situation leading up to this point to keep the equipment and materials in the house as he's working on it. The interesting piece to this, on the back left side of the house, where the master bedroom is going to be, there are 8 windows. And here's some along the back side of the house, 4 on this wall. There are 4 on this wall. So they're also requesting to enclose maybe 2 to 3 windows on each of the walls, just to make it better fit the need for a master bedroom. Again, they just feel like the windows are excessive. But when reviewing the application, primarily for the windows, which this is mainly the brunt of the request tonight, when reviewing this, the board should focus on the standards set forth in Chapter 3 of the Residential Design Guidelines, and that is to preserve the size and shape of historically significant windows and doors, repair deteriorated windows and doors instead of replacing it or enclosing the opening altogether, and to replace a window or door that is damaged beyond repair with one that is similar to what is seen historically. And again, you can see the photos when the house was acquired. There were no windows in it. You can go back and look at Google Earth images from, I think it was about 2012, and you can see some photos of windows and the door still intact. But that is the request. The applicant is here tonight if you have any specific questions for him.
Thank you. Actually, I had the opportunity to go out to the house. It was a request for perhaps an emergency approval. Got out there. It was actually more extensive than I would be able to do on an emergency basis. The gentleman, it was a major undertaking, and he is preserving this house because it is nothing but a shell. He's commendable for his efforts, and has been very kind and very willing to work with us to meet guidelines as best as possible. As Maurice had indicated, this is the very edge of the historic district. In fact, the 2 lots next to him are empty lots. Looking across the street and around the area, 1/1 is consistent with the other houses in that area. And what he's looking to do, again, is saving this house from total destruction. I think the request, while we normally would be hesitant about closing in windows, the configuration here just makes it impossible for realistic use. Again, I commend him on his efforts and willingness to work with us, and I appreciate his request, and now it's time for thoughts, comments, or concerns by the board.
Just looking at that, and the architects could probably tell more from those pictures, doesn't even look like those were original windows. Maybe, you know, I mean, the openings, it looks like at one time maybe they were expanded because they look more square than the shape of the others, and the factor in the favor of allowing that. This is on the back of the house.
Right, exactly.
I don't have an issue with it.
Any other concerns? Okay, is there a motion to approve? Oh, yes.
I know the request is to enclose 2 or 3 windows on each wall in the back. Are you okay with 2 or 3 on each wall? Again, there's 4 on each side. Just want to make.
I think it's a reasonable request, as Amanda's indicated. I mean,
One on each wall then, ultimately, right, after enclosing?
that would be fine. On the side or the 2 on the side and none on the back? Okay, so 2 on the side and then none in the back. Enclose all of them in the back. Again, you know, it's a realistic and reasonable request, I think.
And the size of the windows would be the same size as the other windows he's replacing.
There would be 1/1.
And the same width.
Yeah.
You scale them down so they're the same size as the window roughly on the front.
You know, and sadly enough, I mean, moving forward, he was broken into, he attempted to secure the place, and he needs to move forward. So I would encourage, is there a motion to approve?
But, and these windows, it will be the same width and size, particularly the one on the side.
Of all the others? Yes.
Right.
All the windows will be the same size, right? And bathroom, yes, of course, a smaller in the bathroom. And we talked about it before. What are you looking to do in the window up above in the gable, in the roof line? Just enclose it? Okay. Because, I mean, it looked fairly rotten anyway.
You're going to use all wood siding to match the original?
We talked, he was initially requesting vinyl and explained that that really would not work in the historic district, and is very cooperative with that.
Well, I'll make a motion.
A motion from Amanda, second from Bill. Anything further? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Good luck, and just continue to work with Maurice with any questions. He'll help you out. Thank you, sir. Now, moving on to BAR 2204.
Correct. This request is for 808 Gadsden Square, which is in the Anderson Historic District. Actually, this request and the next one are 2 adjacent houses on Gadsden Square. 808 is the one highlighted in blue.
And we will be taking these individually because the houses are 2 very distinctly different homes.
Good point. And this is 808 Gadsden Square. As you can see, there's work kind of being done on the house already prior to it coming before the BAR, but again, no roof has been installed yet. But the applicants are seeking to replace the roof on the house located at 808 Gadsden Square. It's partially covered with asphalt shingles that are dark gray in color, and the applicant is proposing to replace the roof with a standing seam black metal roof. And the applicant pointed out there are a few metal roofs in the area. He gave an example of 813 South Manning Street and a few others. I can show you photos of, but you're familiar with some of these roofs in the area. And that's what they're wanting to duplicate on this particular house at 808 Gadsden Square. And when reviewing applications such as this, you focus on Chapter 3 of the guidelines regarding use roof materials in a manner similar to that seen historically. And again, their request is for the black metal standing seam roof on this house that previously had dark gray asphalt shingles. And with this application and the next one, the applicant has indicated that both roofs are leaking and they're in bad shape. Any questions for the staff, but also the applicant is in attendance as well that can answer anything specific that you may have regarding this one or the next one.
Sure. And again, we'll take them one at a time. As we've had numerous requests over time for metal roofs, we've taken them individually based upon the neighborhood, the character of the neighborhood, the metal roof being proposed, as well as, and most significantly, the design of the home. The first one here I note is of a bungalow style consistent with others that we have approved of metal roofs in other areas. While asphalt may be preferable, we do know that we have approved them in the past for this particular style home. Other styles we have not approved because it was contrary and inconsistent with the overall aesthetics and the architectural details. So with that, comments, concerns, questions?
In the photograph, there looks like vertical lines in that center section. Is that shingles or a metal roof there?
No metal is currently on. Dark gray, sure. Yeah, no metal is currently on the house.
Looks like some type of underlayment, possibly, like a waterproofing.
Thank you.
Bill.
If it had asbestos shingles on it, aren't we supposed to stay with the original type roof?
Asphalt is what I think you meant.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I mean, that is preferable, but I just have pointed out that we have in the past on similar style homes where there were also similar in the neighborhood as well.
I think the original material is preferable to maintain the historic value of the home. However, like John said, we have accepted metal roofs on similar styles. I think it has a lot to do with the area of the roof that faces the main, road in front of the house. If it's like the next home has more visible surface area of the roof facing the road, and I feel like in that instance where there's more surface area facing the street, the metal roof tends to make it look not as historic as the original asphalt shingle. But this elevation, there's not as much as of the roof facing the street, so I think it would be more in line to be acceptable for a metal roof for this home, I think.
What would happen?
Yeah, and those where the roof turns, I assume you would use the same metal roof material on the sides of the gable where it returns, where there's currently asphalt shingles. Do you know what metal profile type? Is it standing seam or is it? It is.
Do we have a sample though? Because we've seen various versions of that.
Mm-hmm. So that does appear to be a true, well, that one looks different.
It's a farm grade.
That one.
Okay,
Applied by the applicant.
Okay.
so which one are you proposing, sir? Because one is standing seam and the other is not.
That's similar right there.
Very similar to that one.
Standing seam.
No.
Yes, I mean, technically, that's not standing seam there. It's like it's a corrugated metal roofing. But, I mean, I don't think that really matters for these purposes. It's just a matter of these fasteners are exposed and more likely to deteriorate over time and possibly cause more water issues where the fastener and washer sits on top of the metal roof, whereas a true standing seam would hide and conceal the fastener and make it more watertight.
Ladies?
Is there a reason that you want to move away from asphalt?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How old is the house?
So you're saying technically the original material was metal. So, I mean, that makes a big difference.
But again, it was a true standing seam.
Stamped metal.
Or the stamp metal, yes.
Right.
So then it may be, as Andy was saying, stamped metal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as we said, we've done it on individual basis. You know, we've approved some and we've not approved others based upon the area, the style of the home, and as Billy was commenting, the profile of the house as well. Here, personally, I think Billy put it best as acceptable. Acceptable within the guidelines, not strictly following to it because the guidelines do prefer and guide us to doing the existing materials.
The black color makes a difference too.
Yes. You know, those that have come before with red have been different matter.
So it'll be the same color as the one in the picture that.
It would be black. Correct, black, sir? Okay, yes. Anything further, folks?
I
Really?
strongly feel that an architectural shingle especially would be appropriate. I live in an old house in a historic district with trees. I know what you're talking about, but it can be managed. And just looking at the building itself, personally feel like the asphalt or especially an architectural shingle would really bring out some of the features in the house. That's what I would prefer to see done.
Yep, I prefer the architectural shingles as well. I know a standing seam metal roof is typically good for 100 years, but I think the character of the house, to me, should have shingles on it.
Anything further?
I agree, the shingles would look better, but I don't think the standing seam would be
Right.
awful.
And it's debatable which one was there first, I guess. And per our guidelines, if metal was the original material, as the applicant is saying, then it just comes down to preference.
I think in this particular style of home, because metal is not always metal. I mean, there are different styles of those. Some of the original metals that we saw, as Andy was indicating, stamped, had architectural details unto themselves, and that the new corrugated version of standing seam is not of the same character as the older, original versions of standing seam were stamped.
And I think of metal more with a wooden house, which you said this was originally, but now it's a brick house.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm thinking the asbestos shingle, the asphalt shingle would be better. But that being said, it wouldn't be, it's not red, Stan.
It's acceptable. All right. We differing opinions, but still, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the application as submitted with the black metal roof.
A motion from Billy. Is there a second?
Make that a standing seam.
It doesn't have to be. I mean, it would be nice to know, to be able to quote and nail down the profile of the metal so that something like one of those photographs that you showed earlier isn't used.
Well, that is what he is proposing.
When we saw this.
Right, if it matches, yeah. That photograph, that would be, but there was one photograph that was different than that.
But
In your staff report on Manning Street.
okay, have you been able to see the one at Manning? Because the gentleman indicated that all the photos you showed were all the same. Right. And we found it.
Hold on.
It wasn't in our packet, I don't think. There was one.
I mean, Maurice showed us others beyond.
There was one you showed that was not in the packet that,
Right, yeah, this is the one that was in the
right.
same house at least. I believe the one Mr. Zion's talking about is it this one? No, it was,
Yeah, I think it was that.
that one?
The one previous looked to me to be different. Maybe it's just the color that made it look different.
But the gentleman's indicated that they're all the same.
They're all the same type.
That know that this is all the same of what he's looking to do. I mean, Maurice, the one that's in the packet, have you seen this? And the fasteners, are they hidden or are they laid out as the photo current?
Those are hidden. 813, right? The fasteners are hidden on this particular.
They're not. I don't think they are, but I think it's just that the one roof was older and looked different to me, but it may not be different. They could be the same profile. Yeah.
This one looks like the one you approved in my absence on South Main.
And this was the one that was included in the application from the applicant, that they wanted to duplicate this particular roof on the house on Gadsden Square.
The other photo.
Okay with that. Yeah, to
Okay.
approve as submitted with the profile that matches these this house right here.
The photo in the application.
Yes.
All right, so we have a motion from Billy. Is there a second? A second from Andy. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, raise your hand, please. And opposed? Got that, Shalandra? Okay, very good. All right, sir. Thank you very much. As to this one. Now, as I indicated, we deal with every house and every application individually based upon the specifics. We'll now move on to the second home request.
That was 806
No, that was it.
Gadsden Square, which is in the blue.
Yes.
Is 806 Gadsden Square, and that's the request before you now. And again, very similar request, the black metal roof, same materials as you just saw and improved on that particular house. However, this house is adjacent to it. As you can see, it's a different style of house that sits beside it. If you're standing on Gadsden Square, this house is to the right of the wall. And the existing roof is covered in asphalt shingles. As you can see, it's deteriorating. I would say in the staff report it was dark gray, but it may have been black as well at one point. But the applicant is requesting again to put the similar style roof that you saw a moment ago on this house. I know there's been a question as far as the roof. It may be because of the deterioration and warping or whatever, but there's some slope, it appears, on the front of the house. I think we'd like to get some clarification on that. But again, look at roofs. You turn to Chapter 3 of the design guidelines, saying that use of materials should be done in a manner similar to that seen historically. Again, this is the request before you. Same type of roof, different style of house, but they are adjacent to one another.
All right. First, my question is, it appears that there's a flare. I don't know how best to describe that, Billy. At the base there. Is that correct, sir? Right. But the actual roof itself does seem to come down and then Sure. But, you know, here's the thing with this house, different than the other. The roof is a prominent feature of that, as well as that flare. Those are the architectural features that our guidelines are designed to help preserve. Right. Again, on this particular house, the design of that, I think the architecture, I think asphalt shingles are most appropriate. I don't think it's applicable to do a metal roof here as a distinction. I supported you on the other because of the style of the house here. I don't think it fits. I don't think it is acceptable here because of the architectural details and the orientation of this house. Other comments, concerns, questions? Well, go ahead and sit, ladies.
I agree with what you were saying. The roof is very prominent on this. Love the flare on the roof. Part of how it was designed.
Well, you know, we're not quite sure as to what the original was, and if it was a metal, it would have been, as you've indicated, a stamp metal, which is very different than what is being proposed here on the more contemporary version of standing seam. So I think there's a distinction there.
Right. Original metal roofing was more like a kind of a tile system instead of the kind of the horizontal lines that you would see on a more modern. Right, I know, which is why an architectural shingle. Right.
Well, the material we're seeing here is the asphalt shingle.
It's the current roof. Yeah.
But the metal roofs, I mean, if that is the case, and that's not before us unfortunately tonight, but if that's the, but while the material might have been metal, the design of that is entirely different here. Yeah. Sure. And there's the application of it, based upon the individual house.
I mean, if
Remove that flare, if you're gonna put a standing seam roof on there, you can't curve it. Right?
you would have to put some type of valley.
That would really be visible from the street.
That looks like.
Yeah. He's talking about it at the front soffit where the roof is coming down like this, and all of a sudden it flares. The slope changes right before you hit where a gutter would be. Can you see that? To your right-hand side, here, I can point to it here. It'd just be an optical illusion. Straight slope. An optical illusion.
It looks that there, but here it looks like it's just a return.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like it's there.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. The wood fascia board. Right, yeah. I think that would look great. But again, the size of this home and the scale of it and the style historically is more appropriate to see an asphalt shingle. Even though, I mean, if there was a photograph of the metal roof, the original metal roof, and you could show that the new metal roof is going to look something similar to that. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are you sure the house didn't have the diamond-shaped asphalt shingles? There's still a lot of those in use in the ABC streets.
Mm-hmm.
But that reality of living in neighborhoods that have trees, and the natural consequences of that don't exactly fit into what our guidelines are. You know, we're looking at the architectural details here. Other comments?
What are they gonna do here?
No, sir, go ahead and ask.
Oh, above the front door in that gable right there, what would you do with that, small area of shingles right there?
All right, folks, anything else? Yeah, Amanda?
There's no windows on the application, but obviously, windows are gonna be replaced and they would match, wouldn't they? That, I mean, that's all I look at, are the two windows.
Okay, all right. So, is there a motion?
I make a motion that we decline going to a metal roof.
There's a motion to decline the application. Is there a second? We have a second from Mary Lou. All those in favor, raise your hand. Anyone opposed? Again, sir, we've taken on a case-by-case basis. Your first house, we thought it was applicable and it was acceptable. In this one, because of the actual design of the home, we're thinking otherwise. Yes, Maurice?
Can move forward with a black or darker color asphalt shingle?
Certainly. Yes, sir.
I got one question.
Certainly. No problem.
We did not approve that. We did not approve that.
District right now, that may be, that,
It's right on McDuffie.
across from McDuff, yeah, the boundary is Hampton Street, so I believe that may be, again, I can double check, but it looks like that is a half a block south of the historic district.
That never came.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I believe that is across from the school, and that's outside the historic.
Outside the historic district.
The district starts at Hampton, the first application.
Right.
That's the southernmost boundary. This falls probably 3 houses south of it.
All right. I know. You know, the boundaries and the protections we can afford are only go so far. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Had the case where changes were made before the area was designated historic district. So, you know, you will see houses with vinyl siding that happen before the designation. So that, you know, and you see different roofs.
Yeah, this didn't become before the board either.
Yeah, sure. Certainly. Thank you very much, sir. But as Maurice indicated, if you want to go back with the black asphalt, you can do that without coming back before us. Okay. Very good. Thank you, sir. We look forward to it. Thank you.
I think it's wonderful that you are taking and preserving these houses. I really do. We'll look forward to that.
Thank you, sir. All right, that concludes the public hearing. No addenda. Last month's minutes have been provided to us. Yes, Amanda.
I was just going to make a motion.
Oh, motion to approve. Thank you. Very good. Getting right to the point. We have a motion to approve from Amanda. Is there a second from Bill? Anything further? All in favor? All right. Anything else tonight, folks? Hearing none. Motion to approve, to adjourn from from Bill, second from Mary Lou. All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.